Fantastic. So Grant, I'm hearing a really positive thing about your session, or should I say your sessions, with Paddy. And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what you covered.
Yeah, we did a couple of sessions. We did a workshop on the Sunday of the conference, and then this morning we did a talk. The workshop, we did something about creativity. So we started the session by talking about creativity and I guess dispelling the myth that creativity is the realm of musicians and artists, that we can be creative in our work. And in fact, creativity is a necessity to be able to innovate and do something new and different. And then we made the connection to visual thinking, where actually externalizing your thoughts and not just talking about things can change the dynamic of a conversation and can help boost creativity. So we had a really good bunch of exercises that we ran to kind of illustrate this and illustrate different aspects of creativity in the morning of the session. And then in the afternoon, we moved on to do some visual thinking fundamentals, how to articulate yourself visually and give people some confidence so they could walk away with the session thinking, actually, I could do this. And this is an example, actually, Adrian. We use this exercise, and one of the icebreakers we use is something that's called 30 circles. Now, you don't have to draw 30 circles, but you can see here we drew 12 circles, and the idea is just to turn those circles into something else. Lateral thinking exercise helps in advance of like a creative ideation session, rather than just turning up to a workshop and saying, come on, let's innovate. It's using some of these techniques to kind of get the creative juices flowing and to get you thinking laterally. But it also illustrates that if you want to express yourself visually, these are just simple shapes, circles, triangles, and the same principle if you want to draw an office block. It's a rectangle. People, you can draw the McDonald's M and draw a few O's on top of them. You've got little people, and so on and so forth. So that was really the goal of the workshop. It was to introduce the idea and then give people just a bit of a taster to understand how they could do it. And what was great is coming out of that session, we had lots of people saying, I didn't realise I could draw, I didn't think I could, and they came out with just a bit more confidence.
Fantastic. And I mean, I'm here looking at the sort of, the wonderful visuals you've got there, Grant. And many people would say things like, that's fantastic, I love it, but I can't draw.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who says, I can't draw?
Yeah, the good old ICD, I can't draw syndrome. I think it's a common thing. I think part of our talk when we spoke about creativity, we told a story about a guy called George Land who designed a test to assess the creativity of NASA engineers. And the interesting thing was what he did after that test, when he ran the same test on school children. He started with children aged 3 to 5 and then ran the same tests again at age 10, 15 and then adults. And the pattern is that actually we're all incredibly creative. The 3 to 5 year olds scored really high on these tests for original thinking. But over the years and arguably through our school systems, we start to fear failure. We don't want to do things because we're afraid of getting it wrong. So I think it's just about that idea of creative confidence. So recognising that if you can write, then you can draw. As I said before, these are basic shapes and visual thinking and articulating yourself visually. We have something called the visual alphabet. A square, a circle, a triangle, a line, a dot, and other simple shapes. And then you learn how to combine them. And before you know it, you've drawn an icon. And then, if I can just flip this chart over, you can start to then see how you can combine them. You can overlay colour. You can combine icons. This organisation's going through some kind of change and a roadmap to achieve a goal. So you can start to use these visuals to tell stories. And we did a bit of that in our session this morning. That was a story all about a BA who's transitioned to the product owner role. And we talked about 5 visual thinking types, different ways of using visual thinking, whether that's to co-create or to learn or to think through complex problems. And we use this story to kind of literally illustrate the idea of how you can use visual thinking as a product owner to kind of get your team on board and to help them become more creative. So we did that, and we did some live drawing, which I was a bit worried about, but it went really well, and we got the audience to join in, and so many people came up afterwards and showed me. I drew along, and look, I drew this.
Yeah.
I think people can do it. It's just like anything. You've got to learn how, boil it down to the basics, and then practice. Any good skill, you've got to actually put the hours in.
Yeah, and one resource that I'm sure people will be interested in hearing about that are watching this is, Paddy and you run the Visual Jam.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So, how can people connect with that community?
Probably the easiest thing is to look at thevisualjam.com. It's our website. We have links there to the meetup group. So the meetup group is a free community. We run every month virtually. And we keep asking all these thought leaders and authors in visual thinking to come and join our meetup, and they keep saying yes. And we've had some fantastic guests. We've got, I think we've got 2,000 members of the group now.
Wow!
And it's really grown. Well, we've been blown away by the response from the community. So we just keep looking for good guests. It's a welcoming community. We try not to take ourselves too seriously. Mr. Danda will play his Bhangra music and keep the energy high, and we just have fun. So you can get to the meetup group through thevisualjam.com. There's a link to that. We have a YouTube channel where you can see some of the previous sessions if you want to get a sense of what we do and the kind of talks there. There's a bit more information about other services that we offer on there.
Fantastic. Well, Grant, thanks very much for taking the time, and I'm sure people will want to connect with the Visual Jam and learn more about visual thinking. So excellent. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Adrian.